Hi Kingdom Kids, I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're having a good week. Last week we took the week off so that you could enjoy the time with your mom. So I hope you did that, and I hope you honor her in all the ways possible. This week we're going to start a new series called the Parable series. So we're going to talk about the parables that Jesus told in the Bible. If you don't know what a parable is, Jesus told these stories called parables that would take bigger concepts and shrink them down into maybe more relatable ways that we can understand the gospel, our salvation, and how we know how we should treat one another. So this week we're going to talk about the parable of the sower. So this week we're going to look at Matthew 13. It's listed a couple times in the Bible, but we're going to read this chapter. Matthew 13 verses 3 through 9. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path and a bird came and ate them up. Some fell on rocky places where it didn't have much soil. It sprang up quickly, but the soil was shallow, and when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and they were withered because they had no root. Others fell among thorns, which grew and choked the plants. Still, other seed fell on good soil where it produced a good crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what it was sown. Whoever has ears, let them hear. In this parable, the seed represents the Word of God. So there are different kinds of hearts that respond to the Word of God. And in the first case, where the seed was planted just on the ground, or it fell on the ground, there was nowhere for it to grow. So a bird came and ate it up and then took it away. So this represents a heart that doesn't really want to hear the gospel or doesn't quite understand it and doesn't really want to have anything to do with it. So Satan comes up and takes that seed right out, and so there's no planting of salvation in their hearts. The next seed represents going into stony ground. There is some soil in there, as you can see, but what happens when it gets planted, the stones prevent it from having a deep root. So this represents someone who does hear the gospel, who does believe, but when the sun comes out or something hard happens in your life, that the seed gets burned out and there's really no growth there. So we want to make sure that we are developing a strong relationship with Jesus so that when bad things happen, we don't lose faith in him. The next seed on thorny grounds represents someone who does hear the gospel, who does understand it, and who wants to believe and who wants to follow Jesus, but there's too many sharp objects in their life. So whether it's distractions, whether it's friends who maybe aren't good influences, and that chokes out the seed so that there's really nowhere for it to grow. So we want to make sure that we're making the decisions and surrounding ourselves with good friends. And then lastly, the final seed lands on good soil. So it's a good place for it to grow. It's safe. There's nothing preventing it from growing. So we want to make sure that when the sun does come out, or when bad things do happen in our life, or we have maybe people who are trying to keep us from serving God, or we have distractions that are keeping us from spending time with God, that our seed is planted, that our relationship with Jesus is solid, and that we can grow and be blessed 30, 60, or even 100-fold. So I'm really excited to see what this next chapter looks like. I'm really excited to see what the series brings, what questions you have, and I hope it really makes the gospel a little bit more relatable and understandable. Let's make sure that we're good soil this week, that we have an open heart to learn about Jesus and to walk alongside him. All right, Kingdom Kids, have a great week. See you next time. Bye.